someone's going to start a business for the very first time, do you think they should jump in feet first, leave their job, leave their 9 to 5, go after it, or do you think they should tiptoe in? What would you say?
I would tiptoe in as a side hustle.
Yeah.
If you got no choice, you better go all in.
Sometimes the best businesses, they're born out of necessity. You have to start them and you have no money, so you have to figure it out. You have to do your work yourself. You can't delegate, you can't outsource, you just have to get it done. Welcome to Inside the Hive with Kyle and Brandon. Join us as we explore business, real estate, current events, and personal growth. We dive into the latest trends, offer valuable insight, and share stories. Thanks for tuning in. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the very first episode of Inside the Hive with Kyle and Brandon. Excited to get the ball rolling here. First episode that we're throwing out there, even though we filmed about half a dozen other ones already. But that's it. Wanted to get going with some intros about why we're even doing this in one of the most saturated markets or saturated trends, I would say, in the world right now. Everybody has a podcast. Everybody has blown up their social media platforms, their focus, and then you and I, like 40 years old here almost, and we're jumping on the bandwagon. So
but on a positive note, I think things are moving away from, television screen, and I think we're still early in the grand scheme of things here. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We have to share our journey with everybody here.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to just talk about a little bit of an introduction for me and you. Introduce ourselves. Introduce what our experience has been, what we've done in the past. A little bit about what people can expect if they, tune into the show here and watch it, and what's coming in the future, things like that. So the introduction for this thing is a little bit about me and about you. So like why we even started this thing in the first place. You and I just have conversations, at least in my mind. You and I have conversations for hours. I look at my phone sometimes; it's like hour and a half when I'm done, and then we don't ever record it. I always go back to, what did we talk about? No one else sees it. It's in this little bubble. And when you and I started taking our ideas and having these conversations open for like our entire company and things like that, we weren't just doing things in a closed lid box. Everybody could see, and then everybody had their input, and it really started helping us grow. So podcast was like, man, we might as well talk for hours and get it all recorded and see what comes about.
Yeah, we've been on this, entrepreneurial journey for, close to 15 years. And I think our ears have finally dried off, as the old guys would say. And we, I think we have a lot to share. I think we've got some really good contacts, some great people we could bring in here. It's not an easy path, and we picked probably one of the hardest industries to try to break into, and the barrier of entry and the market that we're in. But I think you peel that all back, there's a lot that we can add value, whether it's personal growth, marketing, sales, unrelated to commercial real estate, just life in general, and being on this path and the stress that brings, trying to keep your mind straight and your body healthy. And honestly, I think it's just time for us to kind of share that. We've been kind of doing it in a closed silo in a sense. And, recently and over the last year, we've joined, entrepreneur organizations, and it's really broadened our mindset on, like, there's other people sharing these same struggles with us, other people that would love to get into that, but don't know how to get started. And I'd love to share our journey and reveal how we did it. It's not building rockets and landing on Mars here, but it's not easy. But you just got to kind of start it and go for it. So
one of our stories is building a bunch of stuff for SpaceX. So they're doing
them to help them to build rockets.
Help them do that. Yeah, exactly. So as you know, but for everybody else, I'm Kyle Gorman, co-founder of Hive Capital. I specialize in transforming outdated retail centers in Los Angeles that are old and ugly and tired, and we breathe new life back into them. I've been a serial entrepreneur for over 13 years now. I've owned various businesses. Some have been very successful. Some have been not very successful, but each one of them, I've had some key takeaways and learned a lot along the way. I've been working with the same partner, Brandon Lehman, since I started, and we started with nothing. We used to do the installs for our residential home improvement business ourselves. We used to crawl through attics and under crawl spaces. I used to drive a giant white van around. That I also learned how to parallel park in LA, which might be more impressive than any of our businesses because that thing was a beast. But in reality, we built a lot of businesses, and then West Hive Capital and our other businesses combined have done over $100 million in combined revenue. And once we started hitting that mark and started building up a portfolio of assets across Southern California, we started thriving in one of the most cutthroat metropolitans in the world, Los Angeles and Orange County area. I thought it was, we have some good insights, some really good stories, and I thought I could share that with everybody else. So I decided to get this social media and podcast journey going and see where it takes us.
Hey everyone, yeah, I'm Brandon Lehman with my partner Kyle Gorman here, and we wanted to start the Inside the Hive podcast. Been on this entrepreneurial journey for almost 15 years now. During this time, we've built hundreds and hundreds of commercial retail spaces and had multiple businesses together. Starting from just out of the recession there, where we started rode the solar and energy efficiency wave and did hundreds of residential homes, crawling around in people's attics, moved into more commercial space. And just recently, over the last couple of years, we've broken into kind of doing our own commercial deals, being the landlord as well as a developer. So we thought it would be a great time to kind of share this journey. I mean, we've owned multiple businesses together, some successful, some have failed, but that's where we've learned a lot. So one of our most recent success projects is ongoing right now, I think. One of the biggest ones of our career, at least. It's a big retail acquisition we did in the city of Ranchos Palos Verdes. So how I got into all this with the background in engineering, transitioning into real estate was just kind of a natural progression for me. I've always looked at office buildings when I was like a little kid and thought, if I can own one of those one day, that seems like the definition of success. So didn't know how that was ever going to happen. Nobody in my family was really into commercial real estate, but here we are. It shows that path. So kind of from construction into more of the landlord side and the finance side. So I'm thrilled to be working on some exciting projects now, giving back to the community, providing our investors with some handsome returns. Really on this podcast, we just want to share our journey, with business, the ups and the downs of the entrepreneurial journey and everything in between. I want to give everybody kind of a behind the scenes look at what it takes to kind of run a project and a company in general. And we plan to have guests, including, anything from personal growth to wealth building, marketing, sales, commercial real estate, and help learn from them, as well as us and you guys learn from them, their insights, learn from the best. So whether you're an experienced investor or a business owner or just starting out, I'm hoping that this podcast is your go-to source for valuable knowledge and inspiration. So outside of business, I love just staying active. I'm passionate about growing both personally and professionally. Whatever that means, just trying to constantly improve. So I thank you guys for joining on this journey, and we look forward to what's to come here.
Another reason I wanted to get into this is because I see so many of these influencers and people and podcast. They're starting it before they've actually had real world success, and that just it kind of bugged me. I look at him and I'm like, I know this person isn't that successful. They bought like a little multifamily apartment complex, so they flipped a house, and now they're preaching to everybody about how to go do it. And they're becoming a coach. Yeah. And I just kind of thought these people were full of it. And that's why I thought, we're around other entrepreneurs and business owners and the real deal all the time. I was like, why don't we just kind of pull back the curtain a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that it is extremely time consuming, aside from running a business, running projects day to day, whether for other people or our own projects. So there's a reason why in the past we haven't. I mean, we've kind of like thought about this, but the effort, to actually jump in feet first and go for it. But I agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of it. I see a lot of gurus out there branding themselves as these gurus that don't have this type of an experience. They haven't ran companies, they haven't failed companies and learn from those failures. And I think it's time for us to just kind of pull that curtain back, reveal how do we get here. And I'm hoping we bring in some great guests that I'm going to learn from.
Yeah,
that gives me a reason to almost reach out to these guys and or girls and bring them in and learn from them. And for my own selfish benefit here too. So
for sure, 100%.
I'm actually pretty excited about that portion of it.
Yeah, and we have some good guests that are coming. We have some people that have been on HGTV. We have people that have been on $1 Million Listing are coming on the show. We have people that have been on. There's like Selling Sunset, the agency, things like this. Is Housewives. That's another one. So I think that we're going to have some interesting guests. Then also people that have just started businesses, living in Orange County by LA. We have quite the Rolodex of some people that have even invested in our projects that have done really well in businesses, and the products and services that they've created. To me, it was just so fascinating that I can't believe some people started that as a business and made a ton of money.
Boggles my mind.
It is. It's wild.
There's a million ways to make $1 million, and it's just we're learning that. There's 150 people in a local organization here that all do revenue over $1 million, and it's amazing to see like what their businesses even are.
Yeah,
like nothing I would have ever even thought to start or know anything about, but that they're producing that much revenue, jobs for the community, have exited multiple companies. It's fascinating.
If you had to give someone just a little bit of advice, if they were going to start a company for the very first time, what would you tell them to do?
Just start.
That's it?
A little bit of research, though.
Okay.
There's a simple supply and demand. I think we took a little quiz, right? And we were sitting here like a lot of people just don't do the homework. But there's a piece of just getting started and that tenacity of just going for it, which it's a fine line, right? There's this analysis paralysis of I'm going to research this until I'm in the grave kind of thing and never get moving. Or the people that just go out there and just do it and have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
So if you can balance those two, there's a little bit of research, you find that there's a demand, but you got to get started at some point. I'm a big believer in just kind of moving forward.
Yeah.
Everyone's got that plan until you get punched in the face.
That's
in the boxing ring.
That's one of my favorite quotes, Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Now, that plan's out the window. Now it's defense. And unfortunately, that's just the real world. So there is some of that. I mean, let's be strategic about this. But you sometimes just got to start to move it along, and things will fall into place, or you'll have to pivot.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of that. I mean, and I think even in our past, we did do that research, right? We was literally sitting at our friend's mom's kitchen table back in college, right out of college, and poking holes in all these ideas. But there was some research behind it. I think there's a market here, or there's rebates, or this. And, so we had read some books, went to some SBA type of seminar. So there's a little bit of research there, but it's also like, well, let's go try it. Seems like there's a demand for it. Let's go see if actually there is real demand.
Yeah.
People are actually going to buy what we're trying to sell them. So there's some of that. I mean, do a little bit of homework here, but
if someone's going to start a business for the very first time, do you think they should jump in feet first, leave their job, leave their 9 to 5, go after it, or think they should tiptoe in? What would you say?
If you've got a nice stable job, I would tiptoe in as a side hustle.
Yeah.
If you got no choice, you better go all in.
If you got no choice, I remember that was us. There was no jobs.
There was no job, so it was like, there's no choice. You go all in. What else are you doing all day? You're looking for a job, or you're trying to create your own business or make a sale or whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But, that's a little risky. I mean, there's definitely, it's that effort, it's like, if you've got to do that side hustle and you got the family and, you got the day job and you got to get the side hustle going, you might have to put in the time. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And that's what prevents, the 90% from ever even starting it. It's just that effort. You just want to come home and be comfortable. Got to get out of your comfort zone. And it's not comfortable. It's an uncomfortable journey. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
sleepless nights, the stress, what's happening next. I don't know, but
It is uncomfortable. And the whole not knowing how to get started in the first place. I think the first step is sometimes the most difficult one.
Oh yeah.
Not sure what to do exactly. I'll give you some real good advice. Figure something out that you're good at, a service or a product, and go see if someone wants to give you money for it. That's it.
Good place to start.
You don't need to come up with a business license yet. You don't need to brand yet. Everybody loves creating a logo. You ever notice that? When someone's going to start a business, the first thing they want to do is they're like, so this is my logo. This is what we're going to do. Look at how it's like, that's really like the main focus. And that, hey, it's important. You want a brand and this and that. But very, very beginning, how about just come up with something like, what are you good at? Are you really good at working out? Maybe go be a personal trainer. Are you good at accounting? Do this, someone's tax, something that you're good at or can provide for money, and just do that exchange. There's a business. And that's all really you have to do.
Whatever that idea is.
Whatever it is.
Whether you're good or not. Like, hey, will someone buy what you're trying to sell? Why don't you start with that before the whole website creation? And
you could do anything. I met someone the other day that was creating lanyards and selling them to kids at graduation to put on that's the simplest thing. And she's just in her kitchen doing these lanyard things and then selling them for, I don't know how much they were, $20 or something like that. But that's a business. And then what happens if it grows after that? So that's really what it is. It's come up with something, exchange money. And that's really all.
Yeah.
You don't need to overcomplicate it.
No. Supply and demand. Or is there demand for what you're offering? Mm-hmm. Whatever that is. I want to figure that out first.
On the flip side of that, there was someone else that we know really well that wanted to start this very elaborate company. And it was her first one ever. And she dropped hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into this website, consultants, and this and that. It's been 2.5, 3 years now. It still has not launched. It's not right. Every time we talk to her, it's not right. This needs to be polished up. This needs to be better. We need more content. We need more. It's all these different things. It still isn't launched, and it's been just pouring money into this thing.
Yeah,
so
that's funny. I was just talking to someone else. I won't name any names, but it's a very similar. I think they're even self-aware that this is happening. It's like, it was better to start the company when I had no money.
Yeah.
Because I was out of necessity. I had to keep it lean. I couldn't reinvest in it. I had to make sales to then continue to grow, just feed the company and feed myself. But now I've exited this company. I have all this money and all this time, and I'm just dumping money into this idea of a startup, right? And I've got this crazy website and I've got all this stuff. And I actually don't even know if there's demand here. And I've dropped $500,000 in this thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. There's some of that. I don't know how you prevent that, but kind of bootstrapping it, right? It almost it is later on as a benefit, unless you just know for a fact and you've got a very detailed business plan and you're just going to go for it. But
100%.
I don't know how you prevent that from happening.
100%. Sometimes the best businesses or they're born out of necessity. You have to start them and you have no money, so you have to figure it out. You have to do your work yourself. You can't delegate. You can't outsource. You can't do anything like that. You just have to get it done. Mm-hmm. That's sometimes the what you were saying earlier, the comfort thing. Yeah. If you're comfortable, let's say somehow you don't have to work. You have a trust fund or something. You got some job that's you're caked up. Parents are giving you money, whatever the case is. There's no motivation there.
No.
Motivation is what you need. However, in my experience with this, is action and motivation are kind of like this circle. So if you don't feel like you're motivated in life, but you just start some action, it starts to repeat itself, almost like a wheel, and then you become motivated from the action you just started. So that's just like a little tip that I've learned is if I'm just kind of like burnt out, but I know there's a task or something that needs to be done, you start it, all of a sudden it starts to, those accomplishments become motivation and it starts to build on itself. Yeah. So that's something that just doing this with you a long time.
Yeah. A couple wins there will get you.
A couple wins. That's what it is.
Get a little pep in your step.
Couple wins, get a little pep in your step, and you're kind of off to the races.
Yeah.
So, and that's what starting a business is. Now, you start a business and you go get your first client and someone just gave you money for something. Oh, that's a hell of a feeling. That's like, now you start thinking, I remember thinking after just a couple houses that we did here in California, putting some insulation and things like that. I remember I'm like, so I think I'm pretty much going to be a millionaire is what is what this is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to sell like 1 million of these. It's just like, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
It's fun creating something.
Yeah. I've noticed with myself, even like I was doing this exercise about the why and trying to figure out, what is a bigger purpose of what I do. But, I think I like the competition aspect of things. And that's some people too. We've had people that we've worked with that, they're kind of floating along until their back's against the wall and it's a fire drill, but then they make something happen somehow.
Yeah.
Like they feed off of that stress and that pressure. Hopefully you can prevent that from happening, but I don't think I'm necessarily fall into that category, but I do like the pressure of it, like that competition arena.
Yeah.
It kind of fires me up a little bit. It's like I can perform under that pressure.
I might fall in that category a little bit more than you. It's I get motivated for things that I don't know if other people get motivated for. Like I get motivated for spite. I have a chip on my shoulder about this. I'm pissed off someone else is successful. I have these weird things that get me going where then it's like you lit a fire under me and I'm like,
and I used to give you a hard time about that, but then I was like, you know what?
No.
At least the motivation is there.
So
whatever it is, let it fire you up and let's get after it.
It is. Someone
good or bad
presses that button, it's like, look the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go. That's what does it for me. But finding your own motivation, that's really what my point is. Mine's twisted, but like everybody else's could be, maybe it's their family. Maybe it's like the admiration of their community.
Find it.
But that motivation.
So many people I feel like these days just don't have it. I don't know.
Yeah, it
must be for all generations, but
it is.
They didn't have a choice back then.
Yeah, it's you kind of can't tell someone to be excited about someone. It's like the whole lead a horse to water thing. You can only kind of show them, but they have to take their first steps to do it. Nothing's more true than in business.
Yeah.
Like starting a company is super, super hard and you have to be motivated because it's going to suck.
Oh yeah.
It's just going to suck. And it's if you have a 9-to-5 and your boss is yelling at you, wait till you start your own company. It's just a damn nightmare.
Yeah, you do it for the freedom. I don't want a boss. You become a slave to your company.
Yeah.
The employees, your clients, basically, they're the ones paying the bills. So you're at their beck and call now.
Sometimes you can create a job for yourself and you never really get out to having your own business. You kind of create just a job and it kind of goes in a cycle. You and I have had that happen to us years ago as well, where you don't even realize it. And you look and you're like, am I the project manager of this whole thing? What happens if I didn't show up this week? What's going to happen? And that's a difficult position to be in as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think our biggest takeaway is start it, but come up with a plan before you start maybe a little bit, but just don't spend a year on the plan.
Yeah.
Come up with a plan, give yourself a few days, a week, a month, test it with some people. I used to have this thing. My favorite thing to do with a new business idea was to put it up against the dartboard is what I called it and have people poke holes in it. So this is a sensitive exercise because if you get to come up with an idea, you're going to get excited about that idea. You want to share it with your friends and family.
Emotional.
And you're emotionally attached to it. And what the best thing to do is to put that idea on a whiteboard, have the people that you actually care about their opinion around you, and have them try to just rip it apart. Just do that. Have them rip it apart. And then when there's little holes, you want to have a rebuttal for those holes, those gaps, those things that you might not have seen. So someone's going to say, well, what did you think about this? And you're going to be like, I didn't. And you write that down. Or if you did, then you can fill that gap. And you go back and forth until people just I used to say throwing darts at it, put it on a dartboard. Until they do that so much that now you've hashed out a lot of the possible pitfalls. What happens is I feel that some individuals are afraid to do this because as soon as they put their idea out there and they ask people to poke holes in it and someone says, well, this is dumb. Have you thought about that? And they're like, the first thing is, screw you. This is my idea. It's going to be great. And they get really, it's like they take it the wrong way. That constructive criticism is, you got to have some thick skin. And it's better for people to talk shit a little bit about your idea because now you can plug the gaps, plug the holes, and make sure it becomes bulletproof and you move forward. You want to be aware of what's wrong. You don't want to stick your head in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, I think you're in trouble.
That's a good nugget, Kyle.
You
That's a good one.
like that one?
Yeah. It is. It's true. I mean, it's very true that people get very emotionally attached to this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been there too. I mean, you put your heart and soul, all your time into something, and some guy just pokes a hole right through it. Oh,
yeah.
But would you rather you would rather have that done before you got too far, or went too far down the rabbit hole the wrong way? So.
Yeah, we had a business for a long time there where we were confusing that people needed it versus there was a demand for it, and there's a difference there.
And we absolutely knew people needed this, but they just had no idea that they needed it. They had no idea that it even existed, the service that we offer.
Yeah. So
that's difficult. That is you get really crapped out trying to sell that thing all day.
Yeah. If people don't, there's some, could be the worst analogy in the world, but there was this movie, I forgot what it was called, but it was this movie where somebody was like asleep and they wake up in the future and human beings are a bunch of idiots running around. I think it's Idiocracy. That's what it was. And it was basically like people don't know what they don't need, right? So they were watering their crops with Gatorade and they had no idea why their crops were dying. And he's like, use water. And people are like, you're an idiot. So he was right. Okay, water's going to help the crops grow or this and that. But they're like, well, Gatorade's better. So then why would we need that? And I felt like you and I started a business one time for a lot of years. It was like that, where it was like, we're trying to tell people this is better and you're going to save money and it's going to be better for everybody. And they're looking at us like, nah, you guys are trying to sell me snake oil and just didn't want to buy in. So the demand wasn't there. The need was apparent the entire time, but demand, nobody wanted it. We had to close that one down.
Yeah.
So
that's a difficult one. I mean, we weren't quite pouring Gatorade on plants, but we were giving them like supercharged water, actually.
Yeah, we were trying to get supercharged water. Yeah. Yes, you weren't water with Gatorade. But yeah, so so another thing we're probably going to bring to the table in some other episodes is some listener engagement. I want to understand what people's questions are, if they have any at all. Any sort of surveys, some facts, questions and answers from our social media, anything like that, I think would be fun. You and I did a little fun facts and quiz the other day, and I didn't know half that shit. So
I learned a few things.
Yeah, I learned a bunch of stuff. So I'm really curious if we're trying to lay out what we think we know best about getting things going and startups and so forth. But if someone asked if someone asked you and I direct questions, I mean, we could really probably help out. Even how to structure our LLC. We just acquired a property in LA, and that company structure, it's like 8 different companies all the way down to the holding entity. Little things like that, I think people could really benefit from.
Yeah, I think we'll share some of that structure, just simple company structure, even just one company.
Yeah.
It's a good place to get started. But then even as complicated as owning commercial property and having investors and banks involved. Showcase all that stuff. So,
well, this wraps it up for our first episode of Inside the Hive with Kyle and Brandon. So obviously this episode, we talked a lot about just starting. That's exactly what we're doing here. We're just starting this little podcast, social media journey, and our advice to anybody else starting a company is just get started.
Yeah. We don't have it all figured out yet, but we're going for it.
Yep. So it's a little rocky. I think you got a curtain here. We got some lights in the back. You can probably see. So we're making it happen. It'll get more polished up as we go, but we're just getting it out there and we're starting. Sometimes you got to build the plane on the way down.
Yeah. That's probably the story of an entrepreneur.
It's the story of an entrepreneur. So that's what we're doing. But thank everybody for watching or listening, rather. Very first episode of Inside the Hive with Kyle and Brandon. And please subscribe, watch more, 5 stars, all that good stuff. And we will talk to you next time.
Thank you.